Let me ask you a question. Out of 10, with 1 being rubbish and 10 being super awesome, how good are you at making big career decisions? What was your immediate thought? 8? 7? 3? Let's face it, when it comes to making big career decisions, especially those that are really troubling for us, even the most confident and sharpest among us can really struggle. Although I'd like to think I've got it nailed now, there were plenty of times in my career where I've just thought, Even when we're lucky enough to choose between something great and something equally great, we can spend endless brain power worrying about our decisions, letting things go around in our heads, and probably overthinking them. This often ends up with us deciding to make no decision at all. Any of that sound familiar? Well, if it does, you are definitely not alone, because we have all been there. But why is it so hard? By the end of this video, you will have learned the 3 big truths around making big career decisions and how to make it easier. But before we dive in, please do me a favor and push the subscribe button and make sure the bell wobbles. It would mean the world to me, and also means you'll get the latest content the moment it is released, which is a good thing, right? So why do we struggle with making career decisions? I've thought about this a lot recently, and it should get easier, especially if we are progressing through our careers. But I would go as far to say that I think it can be quite the opposite. It can get harder, or at least that's how it feels. But why? Here's what I reckon. We struggle because we don't understand the truth about how career decisions are really made. It's as simple as that. Because once we know what's true, it will allow us to move faster about making career decisions. But it's not just any decisions, decisions that are right for us. But this is where it gets a little more complicated, as it's not just one truth, but actually 3. Yes, 3 truths. That's right, there are 3 things we need to understand to make better big career decisions, but as with every truth, there is always a corresponding lie. Just ask ex-President Donald Trump. But this is where I want to level with you, because once you've had your eyes open to the reality of the situation, you can adjust your thinking about how you're making career decisions that are right for you. So with that, let's just dive straight into the 3 truths. Truth 1, you already know how to make decisions. Let's be honest, even before you can remember, you've been a decision-making guru. Should you try and crawl? Should you put this cuddly toy in your mouth? Should you cry for some attention? Yes, these are all questions focused on toddlers or newborns, but they are all decisions. Fast forward 2 decades and you're just as proficient at it as you were then. The issue is we all get in our own way. Think about it for a second. Do you hit snooze for 5 more minutes in bed? Oh my word, that's amazing. Or just get straight out of bed and seize the day? Is it a blue or white shirt kind of day? Do I make my own coffee or treat myself to, your favourite coffee from the coffee house around the corner? Actually, bean and hop is mine, and I might go and get one tomorrow. These are all decisions we make, and in fact some studies have quantified that we make about 35,000 decisions a day. Even beyond the auto-bio decisions our bodies make for us. Those are things like breathing and sneezing and cell dividing and all the stuff that happens in here. How anyone actually attempted to count all those decisions, I have absolutely no idea. But no matter what the right number is, it's proof of one thing. You already know how to make decisions. Perhaps you haven't thought about it this way before. Maybe you've been telling yourself the lie of, I'm just not very good at making decisions. Relax. Relax into the truth that you do know how to make decisions, and that on average, the majority of your decisions are working for you. And this is where I talk about getting in your own way. We start to overthink things, coming up with our own hypotheses based on a variety of variables which may or may not be true. Then we convince ourselves that we can't actually do it. I mean, what the dickens? We are decision-making gurus. We need to trust ourselves. So the next time you find yourself doubting your ability, just say to yourself, I make decisions all the bloody time, so I'll definitely figure this one out too. This will help relieve some of the emotional burden and ultimately give yourself a break. It'll also help build your confidence, or potentially rebuild your confidence in decision making. Because yes, building confidence in your decision making is what you need. If we break it down, when you say to yourself, I don't know how to make a decision, your brain is tricking you into what it thinks is staying safe right where you are. I mean, that's just biology. Our brains are hardwired to send us messages that help keep us safe. In fact, having just watched Jurassic World Dominion, our primal brains will kick in quickly and say, back the truck up from that dinosaur, or whatever you do, don't touch that flame. The problem is we face this primitive part of our brains hates anything unknown or unsure, which, when we look at the choices in our career and work life, means almost everything other than what we know right now means that we stay in our comfort zone. And as I've said before, the comfort zone is where dreams and ambitions go to die. Please don't let that be you. So you, as the person in charge here, have to remind your brain of the truth. You do know how to make decisions. And whatever the decision you make, you'll be fine. Because it's the truth. And please, no one can tell you otherwise. That's a fact. Truth 2 is about your struggle is about consequence, not decision making. When someone is stuck making a decision, it's pretty likely you'll hear them say, I don't really know what to do. Which I think is a perfectly acceptable answer, except it's completely false. Yep, completely false. Nonsense. Total gibbershite. Here's why. Because when you are making a career decision, you typically start off evaluating two things. It is either this or that. One or the other. Should I stay or leave? Do I work towards the promotion or stay in this role I already like? Should I take the job I've been offered or wait for something else? And while it is true that sometimes you're choosing among multiple options, for example, stay and change, or stay and wait, or leave now, and all those sort of good things, most of the time our decision is a binary choice. So let's get real honest here. What we're really saying is that we have the what part of the equation nailed, but what we need to do, it is either this thing or that thing. Simple. But what stops us from making career decisions, especially the big ones, is that our brains automatically go into fast forward mode and immediately jump to what happens after the what, commonly known as the consequences. So it's not really the decision that we need to focus on, because it's the understanding of the consequences of our options. So let me work this through for a moment. What we need to do is really understand the consequences of both our options that we are considering. What are the consequences of the first option? Write them down. Then do exactly the same for the other one. But you need to be brutally honest. There is no point kidding yourself. The problem is we as humans are excellent assumers. Think about it for a moment. To keep travelling quickly through life, we make assumptions about things we think we know. We take shortcuts, we read clues and cues, and we make assumptions. It's like one of our survival mechanisms. Like I said at the beginning, we get in our own way, and this is one of those moments. When we are making a career decision, for example, we can get a bit lazy and too often assume what the consequences will be like. For example, I'm sure you've heard these pronouncements at one time or another, so if you haven't, use your imagination. If I work for a consulting firm, I'll be travelling all the time. If I move to a new country, I'll lose money on the house if I sell it now. If I start something new in my 50s, I'm starting at the bottom again. Having trained as a life coach, my first response is, well, how do you know that? Typical response is a tumbleweed moment. That's it. Total nothingness. This is why I always revert to the COO I used to work for at a global media firm, where he would love to fight feelings with facts. And that's what we need to do here. We need to be a scientist of our situation and keep researching the specific facts and evidence about the consequences of each choice. But how? I mean, I'm afraid it's painfully obvious. The best research is done by asking and listening. We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And you know how to ask and listen, right? So there's no new skills required. But make sure you ask people IRL, which stands for in real life, as I learned from my young nephew over the weekend, because I'm now super cool, obviously. But also make sure that these people are qualified too. Now, a qualified person is someone who's been there, has actually done it. Or even is there, doing it. Not an Instagram influencer who is talking a good game, but someone who is actually walking the walk. So where do you find these mythical people? Simple. Just look around you. Your friends and colleagues are a great place to start, for example. So, hey, you work in consulting. How often do you currently travel? What's it like? Hey, I know you moved overseas for work last year. How did that work out for you? What was it like selling your home and up sticks and leaving? I'd love to connect with, who is it? That's someone who went to a new company later in their career. Would you be open for a chat or at least introduce me? Take your hypothesis, i.e. the assumption that you have in your head, and go out to prove or disprove it. I mean, these are the most effectively done by asking good questions of qualified people, most of whom you probably already know or at least can easily reach. To be honest, in most cases, once the consequences are clear, your decision gets clearer too. And this is definitely a good thing. Now, truth 3 is we are still too private. Now, when making decisions about the movies we see, the food we eat, or the stuff that we buy, we freely ask questions in public. I mean, who doesn't put a question on Facebook or Instagram about your picture of your meal you just had? We don't hesitate to ask family and friends, or even those who are practically strangers on social media or specific topic forums. But consider for a moment, when was the last time you did the same when making a career decision? I mean, it's much less common. This is especially true if you are a successful professional whose life already looked good from an outsider's perspective. But why do we keep this important decision-making process so private? I mean, the harsh reality of the situation is that we stay quiet because we're ashamed we can't figure it out on our own. Yeah, we're embarrassed. We think our decision should be obvious, logical, rational. We think that pros and cons will reveal all. We think, hey, I'm smart, I should be able to figure this out. And then we can't. So we stay stuck. Damn it. And then we tell ourselves, if I can't make this career decision, there must be something wrong with me. I mean, why? What's going wrong? What's happening? This route of thought goes nowhere good fast. But newsflash, there is nothing wrong with you. There's no need for shame, embarrassment, or any other negative emotion here. Because making career decisions, especially big ones, is something that most of us don't do each day. It's something we have to learn from others. So what do we do? The simple answer is we stop struggling and ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. It's not a weakness. In fact, I firmly believe that in asking for help is quite positively a strength. Many people won't be self-aware enough to ask for help as it shows a level of vulnerability most are not comfortable with, especially in a leadership position. The frustratingly logical reasoning is that the more we share about our career needs, desires, dreams and direction, the clearer the steps we need to take become. As I've talked about before, being able to talk it through means you can determine, are you trying to convince yourself to take the job, or are you trying to convince yourself not to take the job? It's a subtle but hugely important difference. And there is no shame in asking for a loved one to listen to your assessment. I mean, if you don't talk to anyone, you end up ruminating and getting lost in your own thoughts, and more likely than not ending up in a slightly anxious state. But please don't do that. It's not healthy, nor is it worth it. So start talking. Gather a friend or two for lunch, or bravely share the career decisions that you're considering, or chat with a colleague on LinkedIn, or talk to a professional coach or mentor. Ask for help. There's no shame in it. That's the truth. And that's it. If you like this video, I would highly recommend this one here, where I talk about the 8 lessons I've learned from having a squiggly, think all over the place, career, as I think you'll find it super useful, especially bearing in mind what we've just talked through on the 3 truths. But with that, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.